multiple award-winning The Queen Sylvie Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Sylvie or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah. The Frida's Cleaning Service is a small family-owned business established in 2003. With over 17 years of professional, high-quality, and greatly satisfied service, the Frida's Cleaning Service will get the job done. Specializing in sanitizing your home, business, post-construction, and commercial cleaning, no job's too big or small. See for yourself and give us a call, 567-249-9172. La Frida's Cleaning Service. Our reputation is always spotless.
It used to be hard for this family to run and play in their yard. That big pooch left its business all over. Dad would spend his time cleaning up puppy messes. Now, I make sure the yard is clean so they can play without worry. Yes, there really is a poop fairy.
Do you have questions about buying or selling a home, not sure if you qualify? Your local real estate agent, Antoinette Ware, is here for you. Do you live out of town, moving out of town, or looking for investment property? Well, let's work together and make it happen. Antoinette Ware can be reached at 419-917-6258. The name you know, celebrating over 20 years, serving Toledo and surrounding areas.
Hey, it is Smooth Tim and Larry E. And thank you for dropping in and joining us on another hump day on Tim's Tidbits. And we certainly appreciate you all dropping in and checking us on up. What's happening, Larry? What's good down in Dallas?
I don't know, man. The weather is kind of stable for right now, but we know how that is. So.
Yeah. We're getting between sunshine and snowstorms and rainstorms and sunshine and yeah, who the hell knows what's going on. It's springtime everywhere, so, Interestingly enough, though, a lot of times the weather that comes up out of DFW comes up and hits us. It's the direction that it travels, so you can almost guess what your day's about 24 hours after it hits the DFW, it's going to hit us up in Ohio.
Yeah, it's coming. Everybody's going to get a piece of this.
Yeah, you like to share. That's what I like about Texas.
Seasons in one day.
That's what I like about Texas. They like to share. Anyhow, hey, before we get into the show, our hearts and prayers are going out to the people of Baltimore, Maryland. The other day they had a barge that hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge, major transportation bridge, for the city, the commuters and this and that.
Right.
And apparently this barge, lost power and doing about 2.5 miles an hour, give or take. And just didn't have control and smashed into the bridge. It collapsed. Oh, what the hell? I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. Wow. It's devastating. They're talking about probably $600 million to replace that bridge. I'm thinking that shipping company is screwed.
Somebody's getting fired. Somebody's getting sued and fired. So you think about the civil lawsuits. About the lawsuits against the city. You think about the insurances they have to file. Think about people that didn't really get hurt. They're still going to file an insurance. They got to pay them. So
yeah. Apparently there's 6 people, and I haven't kept up with it enough that were missing, and they were construction workers. Apparently they were filling in potholes or something on the bridge at the time. The lucky thing was, I guess, if you want to call it lucky, was since they lost power and they knew it ahead of time and they were unable to, alter their drift towards the bridge, they put out like a mayday, so they were able to close down vehicular traffic.
How come the people on the bridge didn't get the information then? The one they're missing.
It's a good
But
question.
they couldn't speak English or what? Some or what?
Come on, man. Don't be like that. Don't be.
No. I'm saying, how come they didn't know? I'm like, if everybody else in the cars got it, how come they didn't get it? When
They could have been a
road?
private contractor and they didn't have any direct way to get a hold of them. Who knows? They maybe could have sent out a crew to say, hey, get the hell off the bridge. But who knows? I don't know, Larry. We'll find out in the coming days. Kind of like what I wanted to ask you about. You had something to say about what happened down in, where was it? L.A. and Miami, right?
Mm-hmm.
P. Diddy got himself raided.
Oh, yeah. They said, man, you know what? They were talking about things with Russell Simmons, too, and he ended up fleeing the country or whatever. Some allegations with things dealing with children and trafficking people or whatever. And they said that allegedly, that P. Diddy, a couple of his houses got raided, kind of like Trump's. But they found all kinds of information.
Yeah, but this was Homeland Security, so it was like, so not
ties them to some very illegal activities.
Yeah, so they're only get involved if there's something to do with human trafficking.
Yeah. So, and he fled the country.
Did he?
Yeah, say right now he's fled the country. So he's out there with Russell or somewhere. They pretty much
hanging out together, avoiding arrest.
And they're just admitting that you're guilty, regardless of what happened. Anytime something like that happens, if you're not guilty, you don't flee the country. You stay there and face the facts, and you keep your feet in the fire and say, "Hey, that's not me. Whether it was my property or not, you still have to prove that if you're right and you're not in the wrong, you can prove even if it's your property."
Yeah, you could take it to a court of law if you were actually innocent and you had enough evidence. Or corroborating witnesses to say no, that ain't right. But that all came from that guy, that movie producer, right? That is suing him. What is it, Rod Jones or Little Rod Jones or whatever the heck his name is? That was filming some movie. And they were on this yacht, right? And anyhow, they wanted him to procure prostitutes and shit and get into some weird kinky bullshit, right? And also, this is how Cuba Gooding Jr.'s tied into this. It's because apparently this movie guy says that while he was on there that, he was getting groped and, touchy-feely from Cuba. I'm like, So that's why Cuba's named in this lawsuit also, along with P. Diddy.
I'm like, do you get so much money that you get tired of just banging women? You want to start banging guys?
Yeah, I don't know, man. What's the trip?
Yeah. And it's like these Hollywood people are some straight up. Listen, I know some people that's not even in Hollywood that's freaks. But I'm like this. If you got all the money like that and you have prostitutes, you have escorts, why not pay for them? Whether they men or women?
They don't have to be 14-year-old immigrants, sex slaves. You're 100% correct. If that's your thing.
But listen, Tim, why would you even? They're not even. Those kids are even fully developed, whether they're boys or girls, physically or mentally. Why would you be attracted to that?
I have no idea. Well, hey, our boy Charlie Sheen's, noted for prostitutes, hanging with prostitutes. So if he wants to get on the side.
Tim, let me tell you something. If I had a bunch of money and I wasn't married, I would pay them to leave. Literally. I will find me the perfect female that I want, that I can do my thing with, that she knows exactly what I want to do with her, and pay her to leave. That's what you do when you have money. Now, when you don't have money, you got to just settle and just get somebody that like you. You got money.
No, wait a minute, but we have to on air admit we were both blessed with queens that money could never buy.
Yes, that's true. Got some bad sisters.
Yeah, unbelievable. Anyhow, hey, what I want, and you may see I'm repping tonight, I wanted to congratulate the Ohio State University's girl hockey team. So they took the NCAA Division I hockey championship for women, this year, and they did it 2 years ago too. So this is out of 3 attempts, they've won it twice. So congratulations, girls.
Good job, ladies. Give them a round of applause.
Give them a round of applause. I like some girls hockey. I like to watch girls throw elbows and fists. Come on. Get down, girl. Get down.
Ain't nothing like a good cat fight.
Oh man, no.
Or if you're older, a good cougar fight. You know what I'm saying?
Cougar fight.
Or if you're a black older woman, the alley cat fight. You know what I'm saying?
That too. Anyhow, let's get into tonight's show. I don't know if you've had your nose under the TV or not, or what's going on, but I mean, it seems like when it comes to the House, or the Senate rather, more than the House, all these GOP lawmakers are just heading for the door. I think we said something about it 2 weeks ago. A couple people, they've got some more heading for the hills. Check this out.
Yet another Republican congressman has decided to quit his job rather than deal with a toxically dysfunctional GOP House majority. Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin just started serving in the House in 2017, relatively young guy. And he's kind of a standard conservative Republican. He's got a plum assignment as the head of the Select Committee on China. He voted with Trump most of the time, voted in favor of tax cuts, against abortion. Today he announced he'll be leaving Congress, wait for it, not at the end of the year, on April 19th. He can't take it. He needs to get out. He's not even going to serve out the next 10 months, which will leave the Republican Party with one of the slimmest majorities in history. Last month, you might recall, they lost the special election for the seat formerly occupied by George Santos. Then Colorado Republican Ken Buck resigned. His last day was today. Again, he's not waiting around till the end of the term. And now Mike Gallagher is like, peace, everyone. As of tonight, Republicans have a 218 to 213 majority. So they can only lose 2 votes on a party line bill. Once Gallagher leaves, they can only lose 1 vote. If more than one single Republican deflects after April 19th, they lose the vote. They will need Democrats to help pass legislation.
That says a lot. That says a
Democrats are taking over.
lot.
I'm thinking they don't want to be in office with Trump. I'm thinking that they think he has a chance of being reelected. They don't want to be a part of the landslide. I think that it's going to hit the fan.
It is ridiculous. I mean, we talked about them. This was last week. We talked about them passing the budget so that they could, the temporary budget to keep things going, 1.2 trillion, something like that. And then immediately after that, our clown show that we have on once in a while, Marjorie Taylor Greene, calls for him to be ousted as Speaker of the House. Because he's anti-Republican. He's, I guess, a rhino now. I don't know what the hell. I mean, that's ridiculous. So if you do get something done and you work in collaboration with the guy across the aisle, you're a rhino, you don't belong, you should be out. I think that's why a lot of people run away. I mean, aren't we supposed to work together, even though we may have differences?
It's in life in general. Like, we stuck with each other regardless. Especially on that higher level, they should be working with each other to get our country moving in the right direction, making us more economically efficient. So, and those are ones that got, I ain't even gonna say they got voted in. They swindled their way in.
Well, we know, like Santos, obviously, he's one prime example of swindling your way on into, a seat in the Senate. So, and I think there's a lot of people, obviously, that don't belong there. I mean, and I won't hold my tongue. I'm not a Jim Jordan fan out of Ohio here. I mean, the guy's got all kinds of accusations against him when it comes to Ohio State and the wrestling team. Look it up. So, hey, he's no honest, and he has, failed to appear to subpoena still for the insurrection, the investigation committee. Thumbed his nose at that, but yet he looks down his nose at you if you don't show up. Come on now,
man. It's real when I can say politicians quit their jobs. I'm like, that's easy money. That's money in the bank right there, bro.
A couple $100,000 a year, and you're just gonna sit there and walk away from that job.
Yeah, all you gotta do is put on a nice suit, then go somewhere in your nice car after you leave your nice house, after you get a nice breakfast, and talk to other people in nice suits and nice cars or nice houses. They ate a nice breakfast, eat a nice lunch, and then leave the place that's set up for y'all and go back and get in your good car, your nice home, your
Hang
nice
on a
family.
nice yacht. It's going to take
And
you over to a really
you
nice,
walking away
exclusive golf course. We'll have a really nice, exclusive lunch and talk about whatever the person's taking you to lunch wants to talk about.
and you walking away from that, they know something we don't know.
They may.
I mean, it's about to get bad.
I'll tell you what.
This not even a scare tactic, because these things that's happening, we talk about them all the time, and they're here, so we know what we're talking about. It's something it's about to hit the fan.
I agree 100%.
I pray to God that we're safe.
You remember? Let's move on a second. And speaking of pray to God that you're safe, Larry.
Ooh.
Do you remember Kyle Rittenhouse? The 17-year-old that shot the three guys at that Black Lives Matter march.
Okay, I remember him.
What was it? Kenosha, right? Kenosha, Wisconsin. I believe it was Kenosha. I might be wrong, but anyhow, so they charged him basically, right? And then he claimed self-defense, even though he was from 150 miles away. He just came there to help, and now he's actually out touring and the country, for Turning Point USA, which is an interesting, right-wing program. And also, you'll catch him every once in a while on what's our one buddy's name? Oh, Tucker Carlson. He's a big hit on Tucker. But anyhow, he was down in Memphis, University of Memphis, as a matter of fact, trying to promote Turning Point. It didn't turn out all that great for him. Check it out.
And it was a short-lived appearance tonight for Kyle Rittenhouse at the University of Memphis as protesters inside booed him, yelled, and disrupted him until his time on stage was cut short.
Members of the University of Memphis campus organization Turning Point USA chased out of the UC Theater tonight, followed by hundreds of protesters, just moments after Kyle Rittenhouse was booed off the stage inside.
Help me welcome Kyle Rittenhouse.
This man is real violent, and you had many people who told me they don't even feel comfortable being on campus today.
Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted of killing 2 men and wounding another during a Black Lives Matter rally in Kenosha, Wisconsin back in 2020. Viewers who were inside the theater tonight tell us there were only about 50 to 75 people there to hear Rittenhouse speak in person, and most of them, she says, were there in protest. And outside, a similar tune, as people made sure to let Kyle Rittenhouse know they didn't want him here.
I think it's awful and just baffling, and that they just allow this, because this is borderline free speech. This is more towards hate speech.
Rittenhouse was invited to the University of Memphis by the campus organization Turning Point USA. In a statement to WREG sent last week from their national headquarters, they tell us, quote, attempts to cancel or censor events like these only serve to stifle the exchange of ideas and limit the intellectual diversity to which students are exposed, end quote. And while they were definitely the minority in the crowd, there were absolutely people here who agreed. This is freedom of speech, and they are in favor of it. Our video shows Rittenhouse's opening speech cut short.
Obviously, you not want to hear me talk. Let's move on.
And we're told he was only on stage for a total of 30 minutes. So while Rittenhouse was welcomed to campus due to First Amendment rights, those opposed were just a little bit louder.
Send Memphis, man, get the hell out of here. Why they do that?
Isn't that sad?
They didn't have
it's like, why would you have that representation? If you want to promote, that idealism, I think you could have a better front man than Kyle Rittenhouse.
Man, they got all these Democratic and Republican rallies that's throwing shade and mud at each other. They got the KKK rallies he can go to. He got all these other opportunities. The good old boys. What's them dudes was in the back of that U-Haul truck?
Oh, what were those guys? Yeah. Whatever they are, yeah.
They recruiting. They got them a new truck too. I heard with air conditioning in it.
Well, that was smart. Yeah,
so
yeah. That last time, how they got busted, wasn't it? They had to ventilate it, and they was like, "Why you got so many people in the back of your U-Haul?"
I'm just saying that's dumb. You sending this guy to a prestigious university to talk about whatever you trying to move forward. You don't want to send him in no kind of university where predominantly or you have a lot of black people that's aware of what he did. Come on now, you don't send him there.
No, not into that environment. And that should have been some type of off-campus stuff. But then again, I understand you do have a freedom of speech, and then I think that those protesters exercise their freedom of speech, because I would have been out there protesting myself. It's like, why would you bring somebody like that here?
The Black Lives Rally and people always say, well, white lives matter and Mexican lives. Yeah, every life matters. But the problem with that it's always been injustice being treated on black people. Let's be on that. Understand that. But if you have an organization or you have any kind of get together where people are trying to exchange ideas or trying to just be heard and voice their opinions for something negative that's happened, you don't need nobody coming and doing something even more negative by shooting up people. Then the last thing you want to do is have that person to be acquitted of the crime, which we already know he was guilty of, then send him to a college where you can sit people down so you can speak in front of them like he's Jesus or God. Get this dude out of here, man.
My problem with that whole situation is he wasn't from town, and he was there armed with a semi-automatic weapon to
it's
defend what? Whatever. Anyhow, hey, let's move on.
Yeah,
let's move on. Anyhow, you know what?
Trump for that.
Yeah, you got Trump for all that. A couple of weeks ago, you had asked me about when we talk about the GOP, we talk about the Dems, and you asked me, was Washington a Republican or a Democrat? Remember that question?
George Washington?
Well, why don't we answer that question?
Why was George Washington not a member of a political party? In the long history of the American Republic, there have been 45 presidents of the United States, and only one, the first president, George Washington, did not represent a political party. Put another way, every president since 1796 has. But Washington believed, as did many of his contemporaries in the American founding era, that political parties were an evil to be avoided, or failing that, to be contained and overcome. There are a few important reasons for that. In fact, the Constitution that Washington helped to draft in Philadelphia in 1787, the Constitution our government still operates under today, makes absolutely no mention of political parties. And it clearly did not anticipate them. For example, as originally ratified, the U.S. Constitution declared that the second place vote getter in the presidential election would serve as Vice President of the United States. Hillary Clinton would serve as Vice President under Donald Trump. Mitt Romney would have served under Barack Obama. Only in 1804, with the ratification of the 12th Amendment, was this procedure changed, and members of the Electoral College began to submit separate ballots for president and vice president. Also, political parties as we know them only began to take shape while Washington was in office. His unanimous election as president in 1788 had only served to convince him and others that just maybe this American Republic may never see political parties develop. But frustratingly, by 1793 or 1794, there was an emerging split between two distinct visions for the future of the country. In particular, groups calling themselves Democratic Republican societies began to appear in cities around the nation. And this was new. They would form the nucleus of a formal, concerted opposition party, something that frightened many people, including Washington. Why did it happen when it did? It's hard to imagine that the split would have appeared around 1794 without the pressures of international war. Only after Great Britain and revolutionary France went to war in 1793 did the Democratic Republican Party really begin to form itself as a true opposition party in American politics, against what would become known as the Federalist Party. Some ongoing debates over domestic issues like the creation of a national bank and other economic issues became intertwined with these more divisive foreign policy questions, such as whether the United States should actually enter the war on the side of the French Republic. Thomas Jefferson himself said in 1793 that the war, quote, kindled and brought forward the two parties with an ardor which our own interests merely could never excite. But Washington remained above the fray through the end of his second and final term as president. He wanted to be a president of all the American people. And the most important reason was this: he believed unity, not division, was necessary for a democratic republic to survive. And Washington truly believed that political parties like these would only serve to divide and ultimately destroy the young United States. His words in what's become known as the Farewell Address, his advice to the nation as he prepared to leave the presidency in 1796, are clear on this point. What he called, quote, the spirit of party serves, quote, always to distract the public councils and enfeeble the public administration. It agitates the community with ill-founded jealousies and false alarms, kindles the animosity of one party against another, foments occasionally riot and insurrection. Washington was even sure that the spirit of party, quote, opens the door to foreign influence and corruption, which finds a facilitated access to the government itself through the channels of party passions. Throughout his political life, all the way to his death in 1799, George Washington was confident that the Republic could and should function without the existence of political parties.
And there's your answer.
Okay, but
I think he had a very perceptive view of what's going on today.
That's true, but you got to think about this too, though. Without parties, will we have a dictatorship going on here?
Well, what they're talking about, I mean, there could be a possibility of that. I thought it was kind of interesting how they did it before they had the electorals. You know, whether you're going to, obviously, now you're going to vote either Republican or Democrat or what they call them, Federalists. Mm-hmm. And the second place guy would be your vice president. So in theory, unfortunately, I think the vice president position is semi-weak. We've discussed that before. So yeah, is there a need for political parties? Maybe. So you do have balance. Is that how they spew the stuff back and forth? We talk about this all the time on every show. That's all they do.
Is there a need for a president? What if the people had a representative and they governed their own? And then those representatives got together along with the people, and then they just hashed it out and figured it out. Do you need a president?
So you just have a Senate and a Congress and they run the show?
Do you need it?
I don't know.
What do you need? You know what I'm saying? You can have you can have that same thing established in your own.
I think that's why they call it the division of powers, because each one is supposedly to have, their own responsibility so that the government functions ideally. That's why you have, the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislative branch.
Yeah, well, I call it a sophisticated tribe. Yeah, that's all it is. Tribes have functioned properly without needing the government and all that crap, and they did just fine and survive way longer than these our people are surviving. They didn't even have none of this stuff, so it's just a sophisticated tribe with a bunch of drama. That's what they are. Because do you actually need all of these branches and all this extra crap they throw on it? And come on, man.
Well, you think about it, it's amazing, how many various departments you have within the federal branches of government. It's amazing. It's
people
amazing.
Got jobs, they don't even do nothing. They got dumb jobs. And then you start throwing in the people like the pharmaceutical companies, the Amazons, the Walmarts that make.
Oh, now I'm a lobbyist too. Okay, now I can become a lobbyist and really make some money.
Billions of dollars off of Americans and enslaving them and giving them these little small salaries and asking them to do all this work. They throwing them in. They added into the mix with the government too. So at the end of the day, people are getting screwed over. Purposely, and it's done purposely. So we don't need them. We just have them because they know they can make more money by having all of them together against us.
Yeah, you could go back to the time of the Indian tribes. They had one chief. I don't think they had any executives or anything else behind them. I'm not sure. They had a witch doctor, but
Yeah, they had a little something, but everybody had their own specialized person for. They had the soldiers, they had the chiefs, everybody had a job, and it was a job that benefited their tribe. Okay, we don't have that. No, our jobs benefit the company we work for. It don't benefit our tribes, which is our families.
Benefit somebody else's wallet. Is that what you're trying to say, Larry?
Yeah, those who have money team up with others who have money, and that's smart. Because if you're going to be a millionaire, you're going to be successful. It's going to take a team. But then again, they still suppress other people that don't get those opportunities. So the government ain't nothing but a big bully. All the government is a big bully. It wasn't meant to be that way, but it is now.
Have you ever, you mentioned a second ago, kind of leads into what I want to talk about next, when you said dictatorship. Could we lead into a dictatorship? And I mean, sometimes I question, what we have going on now when it comes to, what's going on. And one of the questions that came across, and I seen it on the news, and I had to pick it up. I'm like, have you ever read the George Oswald book, 1984?
No, I don't think so.
Basically, it's about there's a war going on, and you have some various fragments of government that are ran by dictators. This particular place that the character lives in the book has a dictator called Big Brother. And they tell you, like, basically how to eat, how to dress, what you can watch, what you can hear. They take
That's now.
And I don't want to explain too much about it. Just check out this video. Okay. And then we'll come right back and we'll talk a little bit about it.
Then White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer delivered a 5-minute speech to the media declaring that Donald Trump's inauguration was, quote, the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period. Here, as you will recall, is a side-by-side look at Trump's inauguration on the left compared to Barack Obama's inauguration in 2009 on the right. Clearly not the case. Orwell wrote, quote, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and your ears. It was their final, most essential command, end quote. Trump's then advisor, Kellyanne Conway, later went on NBC's Meet the Press to defend Spicer and Trump. She called Spicer's characterization of Trump's inauguration merely, quote, alternative facts. Orwell wrote, quote, and if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. Who controls the past, ran the party slogan, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past, end quote. In the days that followed Trump's inauguration, George Orwell's magnum opus 1984 became the best-selling book of any genre on Amazon. Americans who had read 1984 heard Orwell's alarm bells ringing loudly. 1984 is set in a dystopian near future where a largely forgotten series of world wars and civil conflicts have created 3 infallible totalitarian states. One of them, Oceania, is ruled by an all-controlling leader named Big Brother, who is underpinned by a devoted following. Big Brother systematically murders anyone who does not fully conform to the party, using constant surveillance, thought police, and torture. Our hero in the book is Winston Smith, a member of the Outer Party in Oceania. Smith works at the so-called Ministry of Truth, rewriting and destroying historical records in order to conform to Big Brother's constantly changing versions of history. With each lie, he is forced to write and rewrite. Smith's hatred for the party and longing for rebellion grows, but he soon learns that in order to survive in this brutal world, quote, you must love Big Brother. It is not enough to obey him. You must love him. The ongoing and profound cultural influence of Orwell's magnum opus cannot be understated. 1984 is ubiquitous. It is referenced in movies, alluded to in songs, and borrowed from in literature. It's impossible to discuss authoritarianism, surveillance, and the manipulation of truth without invoking the book's title or Orwell's name. 1984 is more than just a warning. It's a masterful exploration of complacency, loyalty, and identity. At its core, 1984 is a commentary on how all government, if left unchecked, will exert control to maintain power. Quote, the object of terrorism is terrorism. The object of oppression is oppression. The object of torture is torture. The object of murder is murder. The object of power is power. Now do you begin to understand me? End quote. Big Brother's means to control are clearly laid out for the reader. Exploit the truth and restrict language. Restrict language. Does that sound familiar today? Orwell's writing.
Yeah, what'd you think?
So it's pretty accurate.
About today's society?
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
They had what, 3 different major parties, and he lived in Oceania, and it was a dictatorship. And here's what you can read, here's what you can't read, here's why Tim and Larry get kicked off of YouTube and face crap once in a while.
Hate book, yeah, man.
Hate book.
But,
I mean, yeah.
But I think that's people's human nature for control. So they're going to use any kind of way to control people, and the best way to do it is the government. The government just give them more power than everybody else and say you have to follow what they say. Same thing with police officers. You have to abide by the rules at all times, even when they're not. So I think that's how they use their power to control people, and that's a way to make money out of them. And some people like the power more than money. So it depends on what your poison is.
I just hate see us run into that kind of a society. But anyhow, the movies out there and the books out there, if you haven't had the opportunity, please read the book and or watch the movie if you like. Either and or you'll find it quite interesting how it compares to today's society, unfortunately. And it was wrote how many years ago? Oh, well. Anyhow, hey, speaking of freedom of speech getting banned, let me run into what's going on with TikTok. TikTok's been in the news for a minute, so let's see what the hell's going on.
When you think about it, politics is always partly driven by the communication technology of every era. And I mean all the way back. If you look at FDR's famous direct addresses of the public, he did it through radio. And at the time, those radio addresses or fireside chats were considered revolutionary in their own way. Just as JFK famously mastered the medium I'm talking to you through right now, the medium of television. Far better, it was seen at the time, than his rival, Richard Nixon. The Kennedy-Nixon debates on TV are a famous example of that. Now today, we have hugely popular social media platforms like TikTok. And you may know it by the way that it first tended to go viral with a lot of fun and carefree content like the dances and the jokes. But let me tell you something tonight. TikTok has also been emerging as the most popular searched app, beating Google for the first time last year, which means more people are starting to get information on TikTok than any other place. That's sometimes the first place they go. Here's another statistic. Over a quarter of people under 30 say they regularly get their news on TikTok. And we're seeing people use it to sometimes push for political reform. Because we see this technology is adding new voices, as I mentioned, diverse voices. And that is the context for a very certain type of crackdown. It might be familiar to you, again, whether you get your news from here or there or wherever, because Republicans in Montana have made it the first state to pass a law fully banning any access to the entire app. This law is slated to take effect in January. It forbids even downloading the app, let alone watching videos on it. Videos that might, criticize, Republicans in that state, among other things. And they fine the app stores, the big players like Google or Apple, if they make TikTok even available in the state. It does not try to punish individual users. Now, the state's Republican governor says this will, quote, protect Montanans' personal and private data from the Chinese Communist Party. Now, TikTok is linked to a Chinese tech company, and it has many questions about not only its policies and privacy rules, but what could go all the way back to the Chinese government. It currently denies doing that. Now, here's that governor.
It's a violation of the Montana privacy clause in our Constitution, and we're pleased that we're the first state in the country to outright ban the application. Again, I wish it was broader. I wish it picked up the Russian apps and the other Chinese apps. We just ran out of time in our legislature to get that done.
We're looking at a clash and a potential precedent that I promise you concerns all of us, even if you've never tried TikTok or decided you never will. So, we have, as you see on your screen, a test of free speech itself. And if you need one more thought experiment, imagine that it wasn't TikTok, but was just banning access to all of Facebook or all of Twitter or all of the websites that are offering both information, plenty of other stuff, but information, civic discourse, and again, criticisms of a Republican Party that is increasingly comfortable telling you what you can and can't read, what you can and can't see in school, what is and isn't American history, and now what your neighbor wants to post, a video, be it of alleged police brutality or a town hall meeting, nope. They want to tell you you can't do that either. Watch out for anyone in government, right now it happens to be on the right, but anyone in government, left, right, or center, who's trying to ban entire sources of information and free speech.
Yep. Got a point.
Gag order.
Got a point. Yeah, put a gag order on the entire app.
I guess next first is TikTok, then it's going to be Facebook, then Instagram, then it's going to be the NBC News, ABC News. Then they're going to put a cover over one of the satellites, cell phones, everything. Anything that has to do with technology or communication is going to get banned. Wow. And they don't want another Democrat in office.
You know, I'm really kind of surprised, you know, especially the Republican going after that. And that Trump hasn't chimed in. And let me explain why. Apparently, one of Trump's buddies, I'd have to look at, the name eludes me, I heard it on the news, is a huge investor into TikTok. And he's also a huge supporter of, you know, Trump. And the other side of that coin is if you ban TikTok, that stock ain't going to be worth wiping your butt with.
Well, what I found out, I don't know if this is accurate, but they were saying that TikTok over there was originated from China, I guess. It's used as a educational piece where it was more useful towards the kids and everything.
Right.
You're
100% right. You're 100% right. It is banned for that particular use in China. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But over here, it's like they're showing booty, tits, ass, dancing, fighting, cussing, fussing, ghetto ass, what else? Jokes and situations and harassing grandfolks and grandmamas and granddads and uncles, just make people eat hot chips and stupid.
You know that, and there's another. China and Russia is also two countries that have completely banned the book 1984. Obviously, because of its depiction of you know, a dictatorship, but also, are you familiar with the book Animal Farm?
I heard of it, but
Animal Farm's kind of like the same thing, talking about a dictatorship. I think the lead pig is like Napoleon or something like that is his name. I haven't read. We read that back in junior high school.
Ooh, that's a long time.
It's been a while. My memory's not all that good. But that, in fact, that was required reading when I was in junior high school, both 1984 and Animal Farm, because it that was back in the time when you know, at the end of the Cold War, basically, and you know, you're still supposed to hate the commies. Commies are supposed to hate the Americans. You know how it was.
Right.
So yeah,
you hate whoever you want to hate. I'm not gonna make anybody. I don't know, man.
It's interesting how they teach you to hate, but you know, it's not necessarily a slanted view on a towards the Chinese government, you know, Communist Party, and or you know, the Russians. It's just a depiction of what a dictatorship's like. Both books, 1984 and Animal Farm.
Well, what is the dictatorship now? See, it's kind of like you got the Cold War. We have like cold dictators here in the United States.
Kind of like a one person. You don't have, you know, I guess he has his advisors, just like a Putin and or a Kim. They have their advisors, but you know, that's the ultimate rule. If they don't like you, they kill you. There's kind of like what Trump wants. You know, there's, you know, diplomatic immunity or whatever, you know, complete immunity, whatever you want to. I mean, look what Putin did to that one guy that was
killed him, poisoned.
You know, poisoned the one guy. Yeah, the other guy blew him up in a jet and shit. So, yeah, whatever. It's crazy.
Man, we live in a cold world, man. We gotta just.
You think so? Right. And then you know, yeah, and you're right. It revolves a lot about power and money, right?
Yeah, you can't tell people not to vote, but who are you voting for? Is it worth your vote? At the end of the day, did that person make me a better man or a better woman? That person help improve my family, my economic status, my mental health. If they didn't, they shouldn't be there. Period.
You know? Anyhow, speaking of money and power, and the Department of Justice is taking Apple to court. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Because basically they kind of got the, the corner market on apps and some other stuff. Check us out and let's get back and talk.
So Apple is in big trouble as they're being sued by none other than the United States of America. What's up guys, Sal here. So the US government is mad at Apple. They're so mad that they're taking them to court. Why? Well, they think Apple is maintaining an illegal monopoly over the smartphone market, breaking some important laws. So they filed a lawsuit against Apple, and it's a big deal because it's accusing Apple of violating a law called the Sherman Antitrust Act. This law is meant to stop companies from becoming too powerful and controlling everything. Now, what's Apple done to make the US government so mad? Well, they're saying Apple's got too much control over how things work on iPhones. For example, if you have an Apple Watch, it will not work with Android. So if your next phone isn't an iPhone, you're looking at losing some serious cash. Oh, and then there's the whole green bubble, blue bubble thing in messages. Apple intentionally messes with the quality when you're chatting across platforms, a trick they use to make you think Android phones are cheap.
I can't send my mom certain videos, or she can't send me certain videos, and so we leave.
Buy your mom an iPhone.
Also, they're being accused of holding back on cloud gaming apps. You know, the ones that let you play top-notch games without needing an expensive phone. Apple's supposedly stopping those from happening. The lawsuit is also saying that Apple is making it tough for apps to help you switch between different phones. They're kind of forcing you to stick with their stuff. And on top of that, they're accused of blocking third-party apps from doing tap-to-pay stuff that's messing with the chance of having digital wallets that work across different platforms. The US government says Apple's acting like a big bully, just like Microsoft did back in the 90s with Internet Explorer. Microsoft got in trouble for making it hard for other web browsers to compete. The Department of Justice thinks Apple's doing the same thing by making it tough for new ideas to come into the smartphone world. Remember what happened to Microsoft when they got in trouble? They had to change the way they did things, and that opened the door for new ideas like iTunes, iPods, and iPhones. The government hopes the same thing might happen with Apple. They want Apple to change its way so that smaller companies have a fair chance to compete. One of the biggest things the government doesn't like about Apple is the way they charge money for apps. Every time you buy an app or make an in-app purchase on your iPhone, Apple takes a cut, about 30% of the price. That might not sound like much, but it adds up fast, especially for smaller app developers. The government says this isn't fair, and it's making it too expensive for small companies to make new cool apps. Of course, Apple isn't backing down without a fight. Apple's worried that if they have to change the way they do things, it will mess everything up for iPhone users. So rest assured, this lawsuit isn't gonna be over anytime soon.
They got a real point too.
What about Walmart? About Amazon?
You mean starting to corner the market? No, specifically to Apple, though. I see that they did make them change their charger ports. Now I think, what is the Apple 15 or whatever the brand new Apple is out there, that you can use, the same charger that you would use for your Droid. Remember they had that proprietary charger, I don't know if you got an Apple or you got a Droid.
Droid.
Yeah, so if you ask to borrow my charger, you're screwed. Because I got the Apple charger, it's like, well, I can't help you out.
Hey, you know how you can fix that problem? You can fix Apple real quick by telling everybody to stop buying all these fucking phones. Stop upgrading all the time, getting these apps. Don't use the phone, don't use the app. That's how you change all that. As long as people are using them, they're going to run it up and run it up. It's been proven.
Oh, I was a Droid user for years, Larry, my goodness. And then I got my hands on an Apple, and then after that, I was like, unfortunately, they're a really nice phone.
Not for the price.
Well,
I'd rather go with an old school flip phone with a pager again.
I'd rather my bag phone. Where is my bag phone at?
Yeah, I take that bag phone, save some money, man. That's too much.
I remember that thing. Anyway. It was about the size of a briefcase, wasn't it? With battery and phone and all.
You had to be in shape to carry that phone.
That thing was crazy. Yeah, you weren't going to go hiking with it, I can guarantee you. Hey, anyhow, we're about ready to get the heck on out of here. Let me go into, let's see, one of the favorite parts, and I like to call it, what the fuck?
Do it.
And this happens to be in Ohio, in Toledo, Ohio, actually, where we're from, and a little company upriver from us. We live basically on the Maumee River, and just a little bit upriver from us is the Campbell Soup Company. And I know you're probably a Campbell soup eater, but we're not real appreciative of what they're doing.
Before we delve into today's news, we urge you to press the subscribe button now. Stay informed and connected. Now, on to our story. There's a simmering controversy brewing, and it involves Campbell Soup's plant located in Napoleon, Ohio. The plant stands accused of a grave environmental misconduct, the illegal dumping of harmful pollutants. We're talking about E. coli, phosphorus, oil, and grease, all recklessly discharged into the Maumee River. This river, in turn, feeds into Lake Erie, and that's where the ripple effects of this pollution are being felt. The consequences are alarming. The pollutants have led to the formation of toxic algae blooms in Lake Erie, posing a significant threat to both humans and wildlife. Moreover, the drinking water supply is at risk, sparking fears and concerns among the local communities and environmentalists alike. But this story doesn't end here. The U.S. Department of Justice and environmental groups have taken action, filing lawsuits for Clean Water Act violations. The gravity of the situation is evident in the legal actions taken against Campbell Soup. The U.S. Department of Justice, backed by numerous environmental groups, has filed lawsuits against the company for violating the Clean Water Act. With fines looming for over 5,000 violations, the stakes are high. The urgency of the situation is further underscored by the pressing calls for Campbell Soup to upgrade its wastewater treatment facility. This isn't merely a legal issue, though. The environmental impact is significant. The pollutants dumped into the Maumee River have led to toxic algae blooms in Lake Erie, threatening the very lifeblood of its ecosystem. But it goes beyond the wildlife. The pollution poses a potential harm to the local community's water supply, and by extension, the health of its residents. As the story unfolds, the pressure mounts on Campbell Soup to address these serious environmental concerns. Stay tuned for more updates on this developing story.
Big company, big money, big pollution.
And somebody's getting paid off to let them do that. That's crazy.
Oh, it's travesty. It really is. I can remember last summer they had several beaches closed in the western basin of Lake Erie, kind of like the Port of Toledo, and then it goes up towards the Port of Detroit, the Detroit River and such. In regards, because of the algae blooms, and it's toxic algae. You can't, you can get sick. It's like, that's ridiculous. And that's the largest fresh water supply in the world. So, if you want to pollute that, then what happens? If the world would run out of water, and now you've destroyed the largest water supply the world ever had.
Call Aquaman. We're gonna move down there with him.
Yeah, it's really sad. Yeah, it's truly really sad.
Where are those politicians now? It's crazy because they can pull up about $5 or $6 trillion and send over there to a war, but they can't figure out how to stop them from polluting water.
And it's important to the entire nation, not just to us living up here in Northwest Ohio and along Lake Erie, having to deal with that shit. It's just like, wow, what's the world going to be coming to? And we talk about this all the time: environmental impact. Whether you're pumping phosphorus up in the air from a factory, and or if you're dumping it into the, you're into the river. Didn't that look like tomato soup?
It's going to hit the fan sooner or later. This whole earth is going to clap back.
Pretty soon, yeah. Fight back and say, I'm tired of you beating up on me. Time's over. Time's up. Yeah. I've had it with your ass.
Before. It's going to happen again. We just don't know when.
Hey, now let's get into your favorite part, man. And this is our asshole award. And this happened, Larry, I know, I'll come back to us here real quick. Did I ever ask you if you went down to spring break? Did we talk about that a week or two ago? And we said, yeah.
But I didn't do it.
Hell no, you know. But we never have done anything like that. Well, I guess and that's when we were younger, right? Let's see what happens when a couple of parents decide to go hang out at spring break for a while.
Look, it's a young couple passed out on the beach. Cops say they had too much to drink.
What's up, guys? Sheriff's office. Time to wake up.
But they don't budge. Beer cans are littered around them.
Yep, time to wake up, guys. Hey!
Even shaking them doesn't help.
The sheriff's office! Wake up!
Finally, the two arise from their drunken stupor. But this isn't just a case of knucklehead spring breakers on Daytona Beach. These are parents, and their two young kids are missing.
Do you guys have children with you?
Neither seems too concerned about the kids, so cops ask again.
Hey, where are your kids? Right there.
But the 5- and 7-year-olds are nowhere to be seen. The guy heads to the water's edge to take a look. It was a 911 caller who first alerted authorities.
The lady, I guess her boyfriend gave her like 4 shots and she passed out. And she has 2 little kids. Now they're both passed out and the kids are by themselves.
You don't know where they are?
So where were the kids? So much time had passed, they'd wandered off. They weren't even on the beach. Deputies found them at a nearby hotel, safe by the pool. Deputies placed the couple in handcuffs and charged them with child neglect. Mom swears up a storm.
The cops here so now we both go to jail.
Then the guy makes a really stupid move. He takes off, running with his hands cuffed behind his back. He doesn't get very far, face planting right into the sand and knocking himself out.
Call an ambulance, please.
Hours later, his mugshot shows his bruised and scraped face. The idea that a parent would be passed out, what was your reaction?
You know, my reaction was, absolutely disgusted that you could be that inebriated that we can't wake you up. Thank God those kids didn't get into the ocean. We have horrible rip currents here.
The sheriff's office! Wake up!
Bam. Well. Assholes. So you would have ran from that woman too, you saying, Larry?
Yeah, I would have ran straight to the beach and tried to drown myself.
She was pissed off, wasn't she?
What's gonna happen?
She was dropping all kinds of F-bombs on his ass.
Can you imagine trying to live with her now? It's over. He should just ran. He went wrong. He should have ran toward the water. Funny part about it was the cops let him run. They were like, "Look at this motherfucker running."
Crazy.
And I never seen nobody fall that hard to mess themselves up that bad. That's crazy.
Smacked her damn head that hard. He busted his face up big time. Anyhow, man, that's been a lot of fun. I'm glad everybody had the opportunity. Let me get you on full screen here, Larry, or get myself on there. Anyhow, I'll go first. Hey, we had some fun tonight talking about, the GOP exiting the House. And, hopefully, they can get a control of that party. Unfortunately, I'm in dismay with what's going on. They just need to recenter their objectives, I believe. And, as far as, talking a little bit about Kyle, I won't go back through that again. We covered a little bit about George Washington, Republican, Democrat. Maybe he had a good idea. Maybe we should not have a party, and maybe the guy who gets the second best votes, he could be the VP, and we could just, massage the position a little bit better so that, hey, maybe things will get ran better. Maybe we don't need Republicans and Democrats. Hell, I don't know, people. What do you think? You can write in your comments. The whole thing is confusing sometimes. And, as far as ban on books, ban on TikTok, ban on free speech, keep an eye on it. That's all I can say. It's up to you. Every time you go to that poll and punch a button, push a button, whatever the hell they have you doing, think about it before you do it. And let me get into my friend Larry and see what's happening with him, buddy. Got some advice for us?
Yeah, I got some advice. My own?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, well, got my new merch. Check it out. Got the hoodie. I got the pullover. If you want some of this, Purchase one, let me know. Don't have this one, you can't have this one. So I'm building the brand slowly but surely. Check me out on Facebook and Instagram, LRE Fitness Solutions. We keep you moving. Check me out. This is my tip for the week. Never be afraid to pay for a personal trainer or any kind of specialist dealing with the health and fitness field, whether it is a coach, a fitness coach, or a personal trainer, because you can spend money on all these other things that will completely destroy your body, but yet you might not want to spend it on training or some sessions. Okay, be smart. If you're going to spend money on something, it's got to be your health. It's got to be a good pair of shoes. It's got to be a good, comfortable mattress. So you can walk, you can rest, and then you can train. LRE Fitness Solutions, Facebook, IG. Keep you moving. That's my tip for the week. Spend your money wisely.
You're right. Yeah.
Pay your trainer.
You're right. A good pair of shoes and a good mattress does the body good.
Yeah, and then exercise, man. Get you a gym membership. If you don't know what you're doing in the gym, get your training for about 4 months, 16 weeks. That's all it takes.
You know, we have one of those walkers in one of our rooms. You can get on and just walk, just for cardio. Speed it up, get your heart rate up. It's good for you. At least do something. And there's no excuse, not to get out. Like you said, Larry, I think
if you're in the gym looking stupid, at least you're in the gym. Then you can fix that because you're in the gym.
I used to like those little rubber bands, right? Different tension rubber bands. You can put those anywhere, and you don't have to worry about the kids getting hurt unless they try to hang themselves. But otherwise, yeah.
I don't know. I seen some of these kids.
Yeah, maybe that's not such a good idea. Kind of like jarts. Anyhow, you know what?
Trying to run from his wife.
Don't try to run away, kid. Hey, until next week, Larry and I are